जी, continue. So now it is I cut it in between. So fourth example, recently when I do boxing, continuously 3 minutes, there I apply this and I did not thought about it will happen or not, but I just started to do. And I was making swing there I did not thought about result in all state and when I was solved science question in my onwards, there I used it to confusion. There I did not think about if the answer will be wrong or right. And क्षमा होती है उस पूजन को जिसके पास सरल उसको क्या जो थी machine we need सरल लोग. So I don't have any example, practical example of this. And time is the most precious commodity on this earth. So time is priceless, so we have to utilize properly. So first example is one day I was watching TV and I had to take bath and I had to take bath. So when I was watching TV, there I thought I am wasting my time. There I thought about this statement. And when I and second example, when one day I saw some children to play, there I thought about my day when I was playing like that, and there I thought about time is the precious. If it is gone, it will not return. And third example, one day I went to school. I saw some children who were playing in my previous school, Royal Academy. Then there I thought about my school day. There I thought about my time. Like there, I thought about time. Time is precious. If it is gone, it will not return. And fourth example, one day me, Gopal Bhaiya and Kartik Bhaiya were sitting in the learning garden. There I thought about that day when Govind Bhaiya was there. There we all said that time was different. Time was different on that time. There I thought about this. And then Shivam. So this is about Brahman. So I don't have any practical example. And Satyam Jnananandam Brahma, this is also about real nature. So this is also I don't have any practical example. So now my presentation of end of yearly direction review. Now I'm going to do presentation of my deep learning. So कितना है deep learning और deep learning and then there is one सपना. ये thing जो है. So these are 5 steps of deep learning. First step, understanding the concept. Second, solving numerical exercises of that concept. Third, practical application as per the book. Fourth, practical application in my own surrounding. And fifth, how will I utilize this concept in my own life that it will impact me and my own community directly, or how can I utilize leverage the concept of to provide a better service. So math in science, I completed 13 chapter and I completed the science. Sorry, in math class 7, I completed 13 chapter and I completed class 7. There is total 13 chapter. First, integer I completed, fraction and decimal I completed, data handling, simple equation, lines and angles, the triangles and its properties, comparing quantities, rational number, perimeter and area, algebraic expression, exponents and powers, symmetry, visualizing solid shapes. I completed. In class 8, chapter first, rational number. So what is rational number? In rational number, I learned about what is rational number, how to do add, multiply, subtract, and divide of rational number, and natural number, whole number, integer, and number line I learned. And in chapter 2, linear equation in one variable, I completed. And in chapter 3, understanding quadrilateral, and in understanding quadrilateral, I learned quadrilaters, what is quadrilateral, trapezium, parallelogram, right, how to find the angles x, y, z, curve. I learned about curve, simple curve, polygon, convex, and concave. And chapter 4, I completed data handling chapter and data handling, and I learned here in this chapter pictograph, a bar graph, double bar graph, circle graph or pie chart, chance and probability, random experiment, outcomes as outcomes as events. And chapter 5, square and square root. So in square root, I learned square property of square numbers, some formula like 4 and 6. There is a formula about that. And number between square number, adding odd number, finding the square of a number, how to find, and I learned how to find the Pythagorean triplet, finding square roots through repeated subtraction and through prime factorization. And chapter 6, cubes and cube roots. So here I learned about find cube root from prime factorization method, find the cube root with shortcut form. And chapter 7, I learned about comparing quantities. So in comparing quantities, I learned what is find percentage of ratio, amount, principal, discount number, and discount percentage. and I learned also sales takes value-added takes goods and services takes compound interest, simple interest also. And in chapter 8, adjective expression and identities, I learned about adjective expression, add, subtraction, multiply, and I learned about monomial, binomial, phenomenal, and polynomial. In chapter 9, mensuration, I learned how to find area of triangle, pentagon, hexagon, trapezium, and how to find area of cube, cuboid, cylindrical, all surface area, laterals, and I learned what is all surface area, lateral surface area, and volume. And in chapter 10, I learned exponents and power, exponents and power, and in chapter 11, direct and inverse proportion. Sorry. And in science, I completed in and in science of class 6, I completed first chapter, the wonderful the wonderful world of science. So I learned here what is science. And in chapter 2, diversity in the living world. So I learned here adaptation, amphibians, aquatic, biodiversity, cotyledon, dicot plants, monocot plants, fibrous root, taproot, heart, shrubs, tree, venation, reticulous venation, parallel venation, and habitat. And in chapter 3, I completed mindful eating, a path to a healthy body. So I learned here carbohydrates, culinary practices, fats, scurvy, vitamins. Chapter 4, exploring magnets, ancient, and here I learned about ancient times, find direction, force of magnet, attraction and repulsion, shape of magnets. And in chapter 5, mensuration, sorry, measurement of length and motion. So I learned here centimeter, meter, distance, millimeter, kilometer, motion, reference point, SI unit of length, linear motion, circular motion, and oscillatory motion. And in chapter 6, I completed material around us chapter, and here I learned classification, hard, soft, soluble, insoluble, mass, volume, lustrous, non-lustrous, opaque, translucent, transparent, metal, and material. And in chapter 7, I learned temperature and its measurement. So here I learned temperature, measuring temperature, clinical thermometer, and mercury thermometer, laboratory thermometer, and measuring scale like degree Celsius, Fahrenheit scale, Kelvin scale, and I learned about air temperature. And in chapter 8, a journey through state of water. So here I learned about condensation, evaporation, freezing, gas, humidity, liquid, melting, solid, water cycle, water vapor. And in chapter 9, methods of separation in everyday life. So here I learned about mixture, threshing, winnowing, hand picking, sieving, decantation, sedimentation, evaporation, filtration, churning, magnetic separation. And in chapter 10, living creature exploring their characteristics. So here I learned about living, non-living, movement, growth, reproduction, breathing, death, stimulus system. So this is the end of the chapter. So now here I have to only one presentation is left of Sapne and Hakikat. So this is the Sapna of Hakikat of year 2025 to 2026. So here I स्पेस इसका भर गया है, नहीं रोकना होगा.